Welcome to Find Myself Free, the podcast, where we break up with booze, balance our hormones, and heal from the inside out. I'm Ellie Young, certified alcohol-free life coach and functional nutrition practitioner in training. And I'm here to help you break free from the drinking cycle and unlock your best health. After decades of gray area drinking, I was fascinated by my own capacity for change. Now I've made it my mission to pay this gift forward by sharing the biggest game-changing lessons from neuroscience to positive psychology to functional nutrition, all so you can take back your power, balance your hormones, use food as medicine, and feel better than ever. Sobriety is just the beginning. Let's heal, thrive, and create a life you love. Let's dive in. I want to tell you something that could completely shift how you approach taking a break from alcohol. It's called Stop Drinking with Cycle Syncing, and it's the first program of its kind that helps you reduce or quit drinking by working with your hormonal cycle, not against it. Most programs completely ignore this, but your cycle impacts everything: your motivation, your energy levels, your sleep, your cravings. And here's the part no one's talking about. There are actually two specific phases in your cycle when you're more vulnerable to reaching for a drink. Not because you're weak, but because your brain and body are wired differently during those times. This program gives you the roadmap to understand why you feel the way you do and how to support yourself with compassion instead of shame and blame. So you're going to get phase-based nutrition guides and meal plans, grocery lists tailored to your cycle, and all of the content are bite-sized audio lessons so you can listen while you're walking, driving, folding laundry, because I know you're busy. You can start at any time and move at your own pace, and it's all designed to help you feel better faster by syncing your habits with your hormones. So if you're sober curious, looking to cut back, or just want to understand your body on a deeper level, this is a game changer. Head over to findmyselffree.com to learn more and join Stop Drinking with Cycle Syncing today. All right, let's get into the show. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Find Myself Free. Today's episode is the missing piece in habit change: belief. Now, I love studying habits. I love James Clear, Atomic Habits. I've read another book called The Power of Habit. I've done a ton of work in this space because I'm just so curious. I love how the mind works. And when you hear the word belief, I think a lot of people um, kind of get thrown off by this. Like, what are my beliefs? Are you talking about religion? Are you talking about like my values, my ethics? Like, what do I believe in? So it can be a little confusing to understand how your beliefs are affecting habit change. And even when you kind of get into habits and you start understanding like the cue, the craving, the response, the reward, like where does belief come into that, right? Like beliefs, it just sounds, I think the word itself, the semantics of it all kind of throws people off because they start to go like, oh, what do I believe in? And it's also a weird concept to think that beliefs are controlling your behavior, right? Um, so your beliefs are subconscious assumptions. They're not even truths, right? They're not even facts, right? They are just built over a lifetime based on like repeated experiences and the culture and the messages that we are seeing. And they just start to shape this assumption that we later just kind of turn into truths. These things that we sit in our subconscious and we never question them again. And these like assumptions essentially run the show underneath our conscious awareness, and they are directly influencing our behavior. So once I started to learn more about this concept, and once I saw how successful it was in changing my relationship to alcohol, like literally this was the thing that like flipped the switch for me. When I no longer started believing things that I'd always believed about alcohol, all of a sudden my effort just switched overnight. It was like it's like all of a sudden the desire was gone, this desire that I'd had my entire life, my entire drinking life, that is. And once I learned this, so I was able to try and apply it in all these other areas of my life because that is just how the mind works. So let me give you some examples. Like I was able to apply it to food, my relationship to food. There's so many similarities with food and alcohol. Like I started to question like, whoa, do I see food as a reward? Or do I see it as like punishment, right? It's so complex. Like, a woman's relationship with food, just the worlds we've all grown up in. It's very complex. Now, do I see food as nourishment? Do I see it as fuel? And when I believe this, how does it actually impact the way I go about eating? Right? It's so incredibly powerful to say, like, oh, once I make this little shift in what I think and feel, that's where your beliefs are stemming from. Is actually, the how you think and feel is stemming from your belief about the thing. We just are unaware of these things, right? And what do I believe about motherhood, right? I used to believe that I needed to sacrifice in order to be a good mom. And when I believed that, how did I go about living as a mom, right? I over overcommitted myself in all these different ways. I gave of myself too much, right? And I started to understand, like, oh my gosh, that was the belief that was driving my behavior and enabling, all these different things in my role as a mother. What about rest? When I started to question my beliefs about rest, how I thought, like, oh, I used to believe it was lazy to slow down, to do less, right? I still struggle with this one significantly. But when you can kind of back away and observe it in yourself, all of a sudden you're like, huh, this makes, I can see how this particular thing is shaping my behavior. So I'm going to, I'm going to break it down here. We're going to get into habit change, especially around alcohol, and how belief kind of plays a role in this overall arching habit, right? You've probably heard the stat that it takes 28 days to form a habit. But what they have found is that it's actually not the number of days that matters. It's what happens during those days. So after a few weeks of doing something new, your thoughts and beliefs about the behavior start to shift. And this is actually in successful people. It's not to say that if you do something for 28 days, you're 100% cured, or, you'll never go back to the habit. It's the people that are successful have changed the way that they think and feel about the behavior. And where do these thoughts and feelings come from? Your beliefs, right? So let's break down the 3 belief pillars that are directly impacting whether or not you are going to be successful at changing this habit, or whether you are going to continue to cave. I have so many clients where they can string together big chunks of time, and then when push comes to shove, it's either a stressful moment in their life, or it's an event that they've somehow romanticized, alcohol being the key component into them really enjoying themselves, right? Sometimes it's a holiday, a wedding. Sometimes it's like a special girls' night out or something. They're like, oh, how could I possibly not drink for this, right? So let's get into these 3 belief pillars. Number 1, this is a big one. Do you believe it's possible for you to change? This is belief in yourself. It's foundational. When someone is assessing their readiness to change, right? I actually have to go through this a lot with my clients. I have to be like, are you actually ready to do this? And what I'm really asking is that, do you believe it's possible? Do you feel that, hey, I always get to this certain point and then I cave, there's something wrong with me, there's something, or do you have enough examples in your life where you're like, I can do this. I know I'm visually connecting to this version of myself that I can see. I can actually see her living this way, right? And this is a big one, because it is tough to cultivate that belief if you've never seen it, if you've never seen examples of it, if you only see yourself struggling to change because you can't imagine living your life without alcohol. A lot of people get stuck there. Instead of imagining themselves successful and doing the thing, they only imagine themselves in the struggle. They only imagine how hard it's going to be, how lonely, how much it's going to suck. They're missing that other side, right? We'll get more into this one. Number 2, do you believe the method that you're using will work? Whether it's a book, a podcast, a coach, a course, or if you're just cold turkey trying to use willpower, if you don't believe the approach that you're using is going to work, you're not going to fully commit. I see this all the time. Well, people are kind of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, where they're still kind of somehow reserving I don't know if it's ego or what it is where they say like, I'm only going to kind of halfway try this, and they don't fully commit to it because they kind of don't believe in it. They don't believe the program can really change them, or that willpower. A lot of people are struggling with willpower, and they're like, well, my willpower is eventually going to cave, and then they believe again. They're ashamed that something's wrong with them. Next is, do you still believe alcohol offers a benefit? This is huge. This is the key. This is the unlock. This is the cheat code. If you still believe alcohol has a perceived benefit, that it brings you joy, that it's how you connect, that it's how you relieve your stress, you're always going to feel like you're missing out. And that is really the key. Eventually, you will go back. If you are still believing on some subconscious level that, man, alcohol is actually pretty good in this situation, then you're going to crave it. There's going to be a moment where you romanticize it. There's going to be a moment where you feel like you're missing out and that it's going to enhance the situation, and you're going to go back in. And sometimes we need to test that. Sometimes you actually do need to have those moments where you're like, maybe I was wrong about this. Maybe I could enjoy myself a little bit if I have a couple drinks, and then I'll go back to doing it, back to not drinking again. A lot of people, they need these moments where they test it out again. They're like, I've gone so far without alcohol, but this is a wedding, or this is a big holiday, or this is whatever it is. And they're like, I'm just going to see, I'm just going to try it out if I can maybe do it. And they have to learn again that, that trade-off wasn't worth it. Like, I thought it was going to make me happier. I thought it was going to help me connect more. I thought it was going to just enhance this event amazingly, right? And the thing is, once you start doing this work and you create all this awareness and you start to gain all this knowledge about what alcohol is really doing to your brain, doing to your body, it's like you're almost too aware now. It's like Neo in the Matrix. Like, he knows now. He knows, like, okay, wait a minute. And so you're so much more mindful is the word I like to use when I'm coaching my clients through like a mindful drinking experiment, usually in the beginning stages of them if they haven't gone alcohol free yet. We say, okay, let's try a night where you actually are super, super present and aware of how you feel before you start drinking. And I ask you to journal it down and ask some key questions. And then you have your first drink. And I want you to journal about like, okay, how does it feel that first 20 minutes? And, capture, like, did it deliver everything you thought it was gonna? Are you like in the moment? Are you connecting better? Are you funnier? Are you more outgoing? Like, write it all down, capture it. And then the next time, have your next drink, write a little bit more, and just really observe yourself. And because all these promises that we've believed in alcohol for so long, so many of them we just haven't like shined a light on and checked out and questioned, right? And so that's kind of what this work is. It takes time. It takes time to unlock these old behaviors and examine them and kind of debunk them and deprove them to yourself. So in The Power of Habit, Charles, I don't know how to say his last name. I think I'm going to butcher it, but it's Duhigg writes, for a habit to truly stick, we must believe that change is possible. Belief is the glue that holds this all together. It is the difference between you being able to kind of do the new habit for, a couple weeks at a time. And then when you do cave, because this happens all the time, it happened with me for a long time, right? And it wasn't until I made that switch in what I believed about alcohol, what I believed about myself. I needed examples. And once I saw it and once I kind of proved it to myself, once I had that evidence, I never looked back. So how do we cultivate belief in these areas? So first, cultivating belief in yourself. Okay. You need to offer your brain a future sample, not some far off fantasy, not some like, oh, I'm never drinking again. A lot of people get into this place why they struggle with this is they can't fully imagine themselves alcohol free. It's too big of a leap, right? So we want to envision a real tangible version of you tomorrow. Not drinking tonight, that's not just a restriction, right? So we don't focus on what you're not doing. A lot of people say this is where they get stuck too. They're like, I'm not drinking tonight. And they're really focusing on the feeling of the restriction, of the deprivation. Instead, we want to focus on everything else you get to do. I get to wake up hangover free tomorrow. I get to have energy tomorrow. I get to feel confident, clear, and proud. That's a gift that you're giving to yourself, right? So visualize that future self, set them up for success, and ask, what does she get to feel tomorrow? What is she going to do instead of nursing a hangover? How is she showing up at work with her kids, for herself, on the weekend, alcohol free? Connect with that. Follow the future self out into that day, and be like, what is she doing? It's so much better when you have an example of it in your brain that your brain can now connect to, because you've spent a little bit of time imagining it instead of just focusing on, I'm not drinking tonight, I'm not drinking tonight. All that does is bring up feelings of deprivation, and those feelings don't feel good. It feels like a struggle. It feels like a drain of your energy. But when you connect to this future self of you that is feeling amazing, alcohol free, and you let your brain sample that neurochemistry, that's the magic. That is what is going to strengthen that neural pathway and give your brain something to hold on to. When you get put into that craving situation that night and you're like, oh, but wait, I'm committed to the me tomorrow that feels amazing. And I'm going to hold on to that thread, and I'm going to let that thread strengthen with the chemistry that is like, that feels good. I wanted that. It is a delayed gratification for sure. It is an exercise for sure. But the more you can visualize this future self, the stronger that thread is going to be, and the easier it is going to be to abstain from drinking. Okay? Cultivating belief in your method. Okay, there are so many ways to stop drinking. There is no wrong way, there's no right way. I know what worked for me, and I love this method, and so that's what I'm going to give you, but you have to trust the process you're using, right? And if you're using simply willpower and you're not focusing on changing what you think and feel about alcohol, I do know that that does eventually fail, right? Um, so outside of willpower, there's a bajillion other ways. And willpower is still a key component in the change, because until you actually start to shift how you think and feel about alcohol, you are relying on willpower. You are relying on discipline. You are relying on, hey, it takes willpower to even listen to this episode, to actually even put yourself into a state of mind where you're willing to confront this type of change in yourself. That takes discipline. That takes guts. That takes bravery and courage to show up and listen and be like, ugh, I do not like how I feel in my relationship to alcohol. I want to listen to somebody or something that can hopefully shift this in me, right? Because it's uncomfortable. Living in the place where you know you want to change, but you don't know how to change it, and you're clunky and you're not good at it. It's a really uncomfortable place to be, but it's exactly where you need to be in order to get through the other side. Change lives on the other side of that discomfort. So embrace the discomfort. Embrace that it feels difficult, because that means you're up against it. That means you are up against the moment that you're supposed to change. That's the moment that you're not supposed to give up, that you're supposed to give more, that you're supposed to actually get through it. Okay. And one of the fastest ways to build belief in the method that you're using is to be in community with people who have used it successfully, right? Surround yourself with people who have done what you're trying to do. And I know that's why you're here listening, because you're reprogramming what you see as possible. And you need to surround yourself with as many voices like mine as possible, because we are up against countless messages and cultural programming that is only pro alcohol. So once you start to recognize that, and your awareness is keyed into like how many messages you're getting that, hey, it's totally normal to keep drinking. You're sad, keep drinking. You're stressed out, keep drinking. Oh, you want to connect and celebrate? Let's drink, right? There's countless messages. And you need, in order to cultivate belief in yourself and to believe that there is a method that's going to work for you, you need to put yourself in those environments around those people who are living, breathing, and doing it and, and enjoying it and loving it, right? Before I even attempted Before I even made the shift, I didn't know about quit literature. I didn't know there was a community on Instagram of like the sober Instagram. I didn't know any of this. I was just like, what's wrong with me? Why is it so hard to stop drinking? Why is it so uncomfortable? Why can't I? Why do I feel like shit all the time? But why can't I stop even when I say I want to stop? Right? All I was focused on was everything that was wrong with me. And that is a big component in this change is like when you are only focusing on the shame that you feel, that something's wrong with you and that you should be able to control this substance and neurotoxin that is addictive, not just to your brain, but to all human brains. Like it keeps you in this shame spiral. It keeps you in this place where you don't know that it's possible to actually feel amazing and to free yourself of this struggle. And let me just say, I was deep in it. I was deeply dependent on alcohol. Nobody would have called me an alcoholic. Nobody would have even said I had a problem. They thought I was a hoot. They thought I was a riot, right? But I used alcohol for every reason under the sun, and I turned it all around. You need to know that wherever you are in your drinking relationship, it is 100% possible to do a full 180 and to come out the other side loving, living alcohol free. I've coached hundreds of women who have done the same. It is profound how impactful this type of shift in your belief system, how it works. So hold on and stay in it. Don't give up. If the moment starts to feel uncomfortable, know that, hey, that means you are right on the edge of change. So stay in the work. Don't be like, it's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. You are changing something you are swimming upstream in a culture of booze. Not a single one of the women I've coached or anybody I know in the sober world wishes they still drank. Isn't that crazy? Like 100% of the people who have made this shift into this life, 100% say, this is the best thing I've ever done. I will never go back, right? Most people start out in the land of moderation because they can't imagine their life without alcohol. And it's too big a leap to say, I'll never drink again, right? They always think they can thread the needle, that I'm going to be able to like find this magical place where I only drink on a special occasion when I want to, and I'm only going to drink the perfect amount and it's not going to make me hungover. Or some people say, you know what, I'm willing to pay the price and only drink on these particular occasions. And if that exists, I don't know who those people are. I honestly don't know those people. But I still think there's always a struggle in your brain about like, hey, how do I decide what are the occasions I'm going to drink? How do I know when to shut it off? Because once that neurotoxin is on board, it starts playing on your dopamine, it starts playing on your cravings centers, and it becomes a lot more struggle than just you saying right now, like, oh, I can manage. I'm only going to have 2 drinks tonight, right? All right, I kind of got off track there, but let's get back to the topic of the next one is cultivating belief that alcohol has no benefit. This one takes a long time to shift. Most people start out believing in moderation, like I said earlier, that they should be able to control alcohol and that the change has to be in them somehow. Like there's all of a sudden this power that you can have over it, right? And that giving it up, the reason people still want to moderate is because they believe that giving it up means giving up fun, connection, joy. But the truth is, when you believe alcohol enhances your life, you will always crave it. If you believe it dulls your senses, it numbs your joy, and it disconnects you from your truth, from your authenticity, you will lose the desire. When you believe that it causes cancer, that it's wrecking your sleep, your hormonal health, your gut health, you will lose the desire. You have to learn these things and you have to let it sink in and you have to let it shift you. And then you have to have evidence. So how do we shift these beliefs, right? You have to get curious. You have to start questioning the stories you've always believed about alcohol. You have to seek out new information. That's why you're here. The science is clear, but it's uncomfortable to hear. Alcohol is a neurotoxin. It's making you sick. It's wrecking your sleep, your hormones, your gut, your mood, your mental health, your relationships, your stick-to-itiveness, your passions, your dreams, your goals. Challenge your assumptions. If you believe alcohol makes you more social, ask, is that true? Or is it just that you're less self-conscious because you're numb? Because your prefrontal cortex has been taken offline. You're not more brave. You've just shut down the part of your brain that can sense your uncomfortable discomfort in this situation. That's wild to think, right? We think it's actually giving us these powers, and actually what it's doing is it's dulling the parts of your brain that are actually trying to keep you safe, that are thinking, that are critically thinking about things, right? It's kind of wild. This process takes time, but it's the thing that changes everything. And it's the thing that is the cornerstone to the work I do with you. And it takes time. I ask people to write these things down. And a lot of people won't do this work. They'll listen to the podcast and they'll just be like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. I get it. Yeah. It's like, no, I want you to sit down. I want you to write out, what is the belief? When you start to think about all the triggers that are going to come up this weekend when you're drinking, all of the different, it's summer, right? There's so many countless triggers in summer, so much nostalgia, so much socializing and like later nights, and kids aren't in school. So there's a lot more freedom to drink in the summer. And when we are bombarded with those cues and that those craving thoughts start to kick in, I want you to spend time before that moment comes thinking about it. What are the cues that you're going to experience? What are the craving thoughts? And there's a space between the cue and the craving. That's where the belief lives. That's where there's subconscious belief that, hey, I can't have fun unless I'm drinking at that party. There's no way I'm going to be comfortable socializing unless I have a drink. How am I going to get through that? When you start to find that common thread of a belief that's living in there, right? And you write it down, you actually spend time putting pen to paper and exploring it and letting your brain kind of work on it a little bit. Like, why do I believe this? What experiences have I had in my past that have like solidified this in me? And then you start to poke holes in it. Like, is this really true? Is it true that my ability to connect lives in a glass, a substance? Is that how you want to live your life? That you can't connect with people unless you drink this substance in a glass? Like, it's like, whoa, why did I turn over so much power in my life to this substance? And I did it, you guys. I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable for a full year in my sobriety. I'm not going to lie. I didn't have any desire to drink, but I was still uncomfortable because my brain still didn't know. I had relied on alcohol so long to take care of myself in so many different aspects, or so I thought, taking care of me, right? I'm uncomfortable. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. I'm stressed. I'm lonely. I'm bored. I need to get through this. I need to power through these things. Any sort of discomfort in my life, I was basically using alcohol to treat. And I had to relearn how to live without it. I had to face all that discomfort and be like, oh, I have to face this. This is uncomfortable. Why is it uncomfortable? Because I don't like some part of it. Why don't I like it? I don't know. Things need to change. Okay, how do I change it? It fuels this growth in you that is massive, that is powerful. That's why you see so many successful, sober people doing crazy things, right? I love being in this community. I can't tell you how many times I meet somebody now and it's like this. I used to like, I think I told this in a couple podcasts ago that I used to kind of keep quiet about my, in my personal world. It's funny. I shout it from the rooftops on Instagram and on my podcast here, but in my personal world, I kind of was like, I didn't want to like cause a scene. I didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. And so I was just kind of like, yeah, I don't drink, and I didn't want to make a big deal about it. But now I kind of am proud. I kind of wear it more as like a badge. And I'm a little more like confident in my statement of it and my like standing in my confidence in it and just being like, yeah, I don't drink. Yeah, it's kind of badass and it's kind of awesome and I'm going to feel great. And if people are uncomfortable with it, I'm okay with that more now. I used to still tiptoe around making everyone else comfortable with the fact that I don't drink, because what it does is it just brings up, you're just holding a mirror to people. It just brings up their relationship with alcohol and they get a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm okay making people uncomfortable, I guess now. I'm a little bit like, maybe it's age. It probably is 44. The 40s are all about like, I don't give a fuck anymore about what people think about me. It's taken time. You grow into it, but it's confidence and it's something that it's truly confidence because I feel so proud of the life I get to live alcohol free. And sometimes I can't help but just observe like the masses and the drinking that goes on and just being like, wow, I'm so grateful. I'm not dulling myself down with the neurotoxin, dulling myself and dumbing myself down. That I get to wake up feeling fully alive with my brain intact, with my mental health intact, with my energy. I mean, life gets hard enough in your 40s for women, right? I don't need to pour a neurotoxin into the mix that is literally going to wreck every single system that I'm trying to hold on to for dear life with my efforts and exercise and mindfulness and meditation and eating clean and all the things, right? And again, people go, "Oh, but it's so fun. Like, it's my one vice. It's the one thing." And I'm like, again, challenge that belief. What do you feel like you're giving up? And is that really true? A lot of times you need evidence. It's not, maybe it's science-based, maybe it's the cultures and the environment you're placing yourself in. You have to surround yourself with people that have done the thing, that are supporting you in this way. But it also takes evidence, your own anecdotal evidence of like, I went to the thing, I believed that I could have a good time alcohol-free, and I did. That's another concept of belief that I didn't cover in this yet, that I don't want to miss. It's setting yourself up for success, believing that you can enjoy yourself alcohol free, that you can connect alcohol free, right? It's believing that there are other ways to relieve your stress that are healthier for you, and let those beliefs fuel your behavior. Belief is so, so powerful. But again, it's something that is running in our subconscious mind. So let this podcast be your inspiration to kind of think about it. Like, what do I believe about alcohol? What do I believe about my possibility of actually being alcohol free? Like, that scares people. It intimidates people. It's too big a ask to even make a statement like that. I'm alcohol free. But just wait, just for tonight, just for this weekend. Say, I'm going to be alcohol free for this weekend. And like, what does that feel like? How good is it going to feel? How energized? How confident? What am I going to do instead? And again, don't focus on what you can't do. I'm not drinking. Don't even say that. I'm doing all these other things this weekend. I am sleeping my best. I'm waking up and going to this class I've been wanting to go to. It's so powerful. So if you've struggled to stay consistent or you keep falling off the wagon, usually at the same point, right? I want you to stop blaming your discipline and start examining your beliefs. Do you believe that you can change? Do you actually have an idea of this future self that you want to become? Can you connect to that person? Can you see her? She exists. The fact that you can even think about it for a second, she's out there. She's waiting for you, and that exists. Do you believe the path you're on is working and will work? Or do you need to make a shift? Is the program you're using, is the book you're reading, is that enough? Is the coach you're working with? Are the environments you're in, the groups you're in, do you believe in them? And if you don't, can you find one that you do believe in? Can you put yourself in an environment that you're like, this worked for these people, and I'm going to surround myself with them because I want to be like them. I want to have what they have. Do you still believe alcohol is doing something for you? Because the moment your beliefs shift, Your behavior follows. The way you think and feel will follow. Why do you do anything? Because you feel like it, right? Where does that start? Well, I had this thought. I felt like it, right? Where does that come from? Because there's a deep-seated belief about it, right? And that's how real, lasting change happens. All right, my friends, thank you for tuning in today. If this resonated, share it with someone who's stuck in this cycle. I was lucky enough to have a friend share with me, and she's also now over 4.5 years sober. In my friend group, it just spread. We started out in a group there was 5 of us, and one by one over time, I think, no, there were 6 of us. 4 of us are now alcohol free. And it starts with just a little curiosity and a little compassion and being curious and sharing it with other people, saying, hey, I'm checking this out because I want to feel good this summer. I want to do things a little bit differently. I want to show up a little differently. And if you want more support, come grab one of my free resources. I have a ton of awesome free resources for you guys. I'll link them all in the show notes. Whether you're working on your hormone health, your gut health, estrogen dominance, whether you're working on breaking up with booze and you need another tool, another resource, some more information to let sit in your subconscious and start changing you, go check out my free resources. They're awesome. And just remember, you are not broken. You are just believing the wrong story. You have the power to change. And I am with you. You got this.